Times, new varsity takes off September as President opens first phase of University of Environment and Sustainable Development. Former President Mahama registers for voter ID card at Bole. Dr. Doris Date goes home today. Fetish priestess in court over alleged murder of 90-year-old woman. And McDonald applauds government for 100 billion CD over Tampa COVID-19 recovery plan.
And front page of the Daily Guide goes with Hajia Filipina, who says, I can't stop chasing witches. Okay. Nana commissions Eastern Varsity. NDC MPs ran away from free SHS question.
Now, if you check the front page of the Chronicle, we are not babies with sharp teeth. Omaniboama, Ukujoto, Kwachofosu go bonkers over Kwame Nkrumah's controversial book. I'll use my second term to industrialize Ghana. This is President Akufo-Addo. Free senior high school is valuable than gold. Apenyo Markin speaking. And court restrains Mamponhine from installing a chief at Jamase.
More confusion rocks NDCs on the front page of the Daily Statesman. Trained babies with sharp teeth turn heat on Ahoy. You are a liar. Assembly members tell untrustworthy Mahama.
Now, the new crusading guide. Rawlings had no plan for Ghana. Professor Kwame Na Ahoy. Amansia South DC in trouble. Bernard, do you remember him? The man who spoke about Galamsey and said all sorts of things. The paper reports that there's pressure on the president to sack him over Galamsey comments.
Because endorsing it.
Yes. Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Council clears Lawyer Charles Wenes of any unethical conduct and be an inspiration to the youth, Magdan tells Shatawale.
Front page of the BNFT newspaper this morning has over 600 seafarers stranded abroad. And that's because of the COVID. I'll give you details later. 90% decrease in revenue for various market sectors, according to a new report. And banks' role in reviving economy takes center stage.
Now, the Business Finder COVID-19 packages more must benefit, UNDP economic advisor declares. ADB posts impressive half-year performance. CBG supports 7 SOEs with 312 million Ghana cedi to prevent layoffs. There's a Reuters poll that also suggests that cocoa prices may drop 10% due to COVID-19. So Ghana should prepare.
That story was actually on Citi Business News yesterday, and I mentioned it briefly.
Yeah.
There are more details in the paper.
And on housing, Republic Bank is advocating for green bonds to support the housing sector.
CitiNewsroom.com. Leadership of Parliament also at fault for low participation. This is Odikro. Also over 50 million captured on new register through Ghana's unbloated electoral roll. This is Imani. Meanwhile, Akufo-Addo trampling on Ghana's democracy to hang to power. This is Mahama. And I have a mind of my own. A Black Arabicious Ahoy's claims of anti-Rawlings agenda. Other stories on CitiNewsroom.com. IGP condemns lynching of 19-year-old woman at Kafaba. Meanwhile, Akufo-Addo commissions University of Education and Sustainable Development. And Joabin MC holds crunch meeting to address Joabin SHS protests. Now, speaking of these school protests, we go to My Joy Online. No, actually, we go to Star News. There's another story there. Engage police to stop rioting students. Charge to headmasters. Also, we won't allow old-timer Ahoy to derail our focus. This is NDC. Meanwhile, Parliament demands defense salaries for old and new MPs. It's also on starnews.com. My Joy Online lead story. Parliament losing integrity as absent MPs are signed for by colleagues. Meanwhile, ESLA also given 48 hours to appear before Parliament over Kelny GVG. And recent activities may cause NDC to collapse. Rawlings predicts. This is on myjoyonline.com. Citybusinessnews.com. Bawumia to open conference on smart solutions for Ghana today. Also, be mindful of Momo Frosters. MTN urges consumers and customers of My Bank Financial Services demand locked up cash in Tamale. Ghana News Agency, Kennedy Japan aids to evacuate 727 stranded Ghanaians in Lebanon. Also, EC outdoors 16-member adjudication review committee, and First Lady supports Tema Homowo Festival. I'm going to take you to the BBC and CNN quickly. BBC, angry Beirut residents demand answers after blast. Also, Facebook and Twitter penalize Trump for virus claim. This will happen on tech and social media trends. Very interesting indeed. Meanwhile, France reaches 2-month high in virus cases. If you go to CNN, China ramps up testing to 4.8 million tests per day. And weed is not good for your heart. Steady say. A word to the wise is enough. Let's start with some local stories, guys. So weed is not good for your heart. This is CNN. It's a full report.
Well, Bernard, since today you're doing a lot on the finance sector, the ABC News has an interesting pullout.
What is it saying?
And for those who are interested, DKM people, pages 4 and 5 of the ABC News should interest you. Receiver pays DKM depositors.
Okay, what are the details?
Long list. It's just a long list of persons, list of depositors whose names have been verified.
Wow,
and paid.
4 pages.
Yes.
Hey.
So let me see. Overall, about almost 215 names.
DKM customers
DKM
paid.
customers paid, according to the ABC News, and the names are all here.
Okay.
I didn't know the name Asunyani was so popular.
What name?
The surname Asunyani.
Asunyani.
Yeah, Asunyani. There are 14 people named Asunyani just on the first page.
Wow.
Okay, other stories. Footbridges on holiday. Let me start from there.
Okay.
But before we get to electoral matters. Front page of the Daily Graphic. Pedestrians have abandoned many footbridges meant to aid their movements across some major roads in Accra and continue to jaywalk at the cost of their lives. While the footbridges lie predominantly idle, some of the pedestrians, including children, meander their way through moving vehicles as they move from one side of the road to the other. This came to light when the Daily Graphic visited some parts of Accra over a 1-month period, ending Thursday, July 30 this year, to assess the usage of some footbridges by pedestrians. The team visited the footbridges located at Atome Junction, Madina Zongo Junction, in Kwantanan, Taifa, La Paz, Sakaman, and Kaneshi.
Okay.
Stars, for instance, when the team got to the Madina Zongo Junction footbridge about 3:30 p.m., the bridge had been virtually deserted as pedestrians threw caution to the wind and battled with vehicles to cross the road. On excuses, some of the pedestrians, for instance, at the Madina Zongo Junction footbridge, 40-year-old Samuel Dogbe and others complained that they seldom use the footbridge because it took too long and therefore took too much of their time. You see, it would take me about 20 seconds to walk across from where I am to the other end of the road. But I didn't have to use this long footbridge. I will spend about 5 to 7 minutes. So you can read that one.
There's a related story. National Road Safety Authority expresses worry over road crashes involving young people.
Okay.
Now, the Ghanaian Times spoke to the regional head of the NRSC in the Western region, and she said that 58 people belonging to the population above 18, who represent the future productive force in the region, were lost to road crashes. And she told the Ghanaian Times that a total of 49 males died through road crashes, and she feels that this is a critical security and safety issue that the nation must pay attention to.
Let's go to the electoral roll. We understand that registration enters its final day today, and there are lots of quick stories around that. We have a reaction here. Imani says over 15 million Ghanaians captured on new register proves Ghana's electoral roll was unbloated, and the story basically says that as the Electoral Commission wraps up the compilation of the new register this week, policy think tank Imani still disagrees that the existing register, which will soon be abandoned, was bloated in the first place. The think tank has been against the electoral roll but failed in its bid to prevent the EC from going ahead with the exercise. And then the story says Vice President of Imani, Bryce Simmons, spoke on the point of view. He mentioned that dynamics such as demographics, adjusted age, death rates, and stable voter numbers and urbanization and the comparative high voter population in Ghana have once again featured in the ongoing exercise, thereby questioning significant reforms achieved to make the new register any better.
Well, two quick updates before Kojo comes in with the opening of the new university. Page 13 of the Daily Graphic, EC inaugurates Adjudication Committee on Voters Register, and this particular committee will help expunge names of multiple registrants from the Voters Register. The 60-member multi-stakeholder committee, which was inaugurated by the chairperson of the EC, Mrs. Jean Mensah, yesterday in Accra, will be required to manually determine the eligibility of persons who have been flagged for multiple registration through the deduplication process to be on the voter payroll. And on the front page of the Statesman, you'll find a story on page 4, voters registration, 10 foreigners face court, 3 jailed.
Now, I'll give you something related. The Ghana card mop-up exercise is proceeding smoothly in Ho. This is according to the Chronicle. Mr. Kojo Adom is supervisor at the Chronom Registration Center in Kumasi, so it's happening around the country. But they spoke to Mr. Kojo Adom, and he says that the exercise has been going on smoothly and peacefully, as was expected. Now, the same page, Akufo-Addo commissions University of Environment and Sustainable Development. The story says the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has commissioned the University of Environment and Sustainable Development in Somenya, in the Eastern region, and cut the sod for the commencement of construction of phase 2 of the university. At a ceremony on Wednesday, 5th August 2020 at Somanya, the president stated that the University of Environment and Sustainable Development, funded through the Italian Export Credit Agency, SAC, and the German bank, Deutsche Bank, is yet another example of the nation's commitment to providing quality education and skills training for the Ghanaian people. Remember that yesterday there was an invitation for bidders in the Ghanaian Times for the other university in Bonsu. And that we had secured a loan of $90 million dollars from the Korean.
There is some controversy. Some people are saying the university was started under the Mahama period and that the credit should be given where it's due. But there's a couple of stories here on that. Akufo-Addo trampling on Ghana's democracy to hang on to power. Mahama, flag bearer of NDC, has taken a swipe at the government and the presidency of Nana Akufo-Addo. He took on Anado after registering for his voter ID card in the Bole constituency Wednesday, August 5. In a media interview after the registration, he accused the government of unleashing military personnel to some centers, especially in strongholds of the NDC, to prevent people from taking part in the ongoing exercise. There's an interesting quote from him, though, where I don't know whether he forgot, but he's basically saying President Akufo, he's quoted as having said that Akufo-Addo is ruling for 8 years. I don't know whether that video.
The 8 years he's been in government.
Yes, he's
not giving us
any. So I don't know whether he just forgot or whether it was just something he was doing. But basically, that was the audio that came out, that he was accusing Akufo-Addo of 8 years of failed promises, 8 years of no 1D, 1F, and all that. Anyway, let's go into the educational sector now.
Page 15 of the Ghanaian Times. 3 senior high school final year students demo over stiff invigilation. Now, Kingsley Hope writes from Kumasi that final year students of 3 senior high schools in the Ashanti region caused a stir when they protested against stiff invigilation by their school authorities as they wrote their first paper of this year's WASI on Monday. The schools are Chonibo Akodia Senior High School, TK, Adawamasi Senior High School near Bonre, and Jabin Senior High School. While students of the Chonibo Akodia and Adawamasi schools hit the premises of the schools, vandalizing dining halls and destroying the food for the day on Monday, after writing the first paper, those at Jabin School staged their demonstration on Tuesday. The students had accused their school authorities of being too strict during the supervision of their first paper, the integrated science paper. They claimed the school authorities had deceived them by letting them study thoroughly, pass questions, and none of them dropped. And videos
it's a serious
going
matter.
viral on social media of the demonstration saw the students yelling at the school authorities for disappointing them. Students of Chonibo Akodia and Jabin schools demanded that the heads of the schools, Mr. Francis Ewua and Mrs. Josephine Boachi Oponi, respectively, be dismissed from their posts. At the Chonibo Akodia school, the atmosphere was so tense that the second part of the paper was delayed as some of the students, after the first part of the integrated science paper, marched to the office of the district chief executive, Samuel Ade Ajokum, to lodge their protest. In all the incidents, it took the intervention of both political and traditional authorities to restore calm. The Ashanti Regional Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Education Service, Marco Fori, confirmed the incident and noted it was quite unfortunate.
I have 3 reactions quickly here. If you go to citynewsroom.com, Jabin MC holds crunch meeting to address Jabin SHS protest story by Dr. Paul Mafu says the DC of Jabin and other stakeholders for the Jabin Senior High School have held a crunch meeting to address issues that led to the demonstration by final year students on Tuesday. The students of the school went viral after demonstrating on their school premises because the WASI had not gone well for them. They also marched to the palace of the Jabin chief to complain about the inability to properly solve questions in the papers they had been sitting for. And this follows similar actions by students of the 2 schools you mentioned. Now, if you go to Star News, there's a story that says, engage police to stop harassing students, charged to headmasters. The Conference of Assisted Senior High Schools, the head of Assisted Senior High Schools, has ordered headmasters in the Ashanti region to alert the police anytime students intend to demonstrate. According to the Council of Heads of Assisted Senior High Schools in the Ashanti region, school heads must call in the police if students begin showing signs of converging for any form of protest. And then this follows the directive. This directive follows the 3 incidents you described. Then if you go to myjournalonline.com, free SHS has nothing to do with students wanting to cheat in exams. This is Professor Ade, a former DG of GIMPA, or rector of GIMPA, Professor Sinade, has rebutted claims that government's free SHS policy is the cause of students depending on leaked questions to pass their final exams. Professor Ade stated that examination malpractices are a systemic problem which must be tackled strategically. His comments come after several videos of students mourning their failures surfaced on social media. Some of them claimed they could not answer the questions that were set in the WASI. I even saw one video where somebody said he had paid money and that he basically wasted his money.
And I also heard an audio from one of the Tamale schools where basically one teacher was saved because after the paper, students were on their way to his house because he had invigilated according to them too strictly.
And there was one student who took a video of himself insulting the president wearing a blue shirt.
Yeah.
Charlie, I mean, we know that secondary school you can have a bit of youthful exuberance, but some of these things are very serious. Very, very, very serious. Anyhow,
let
continue.
me give you one more education story. UEW introduces online teaching and learning. And the story says management of the University of Education Winneba has made it a mandatory policy to integrate online teaching and learning on campus after reopening. And according to the Vice Chancellor, the Pro Vice Chancellor, they are uploading about 2,700 courses this year on the platform.
Wow.
But something caught my attention. The prof, his name is Professor Furi Brikran, indicated that 57,000 out of the 65,000 regular students who registered with the learning platform, constituting 88%, participated in the mid-semester and semester examinations during the COVID period. And 12% of the students, he said, couldn't participate in the exams, and they'll be given an opportunity to take their supplementary mid-semester and end-of-semester exams online as well.
Let me take you to Kafaba. I'll continue with God's work. Priestess in Kafaba lynching.
I have it here on the front page of the Daily Guide.
Yes.
I can't stop chasing witches is the headline they went with. Says Hajia Filipina. Drama unfolded in the Savannah region yesterday when the ladies suspected to have instigated the gruesome lynching of a 90-year-old woman over claims of witchcraft was brought to the Bole District Magistrate Court. And the story continues on page 3. Matters came to a head when 40-year-old Sherina Mohammed, aka Hajia Filipina, told the court that she could not stop chasing witches and also healing the sick. When she entered the dock after being on the run for over a week following the killing of Ekia Denta Kafaba in the East Gonja municipality, the presiding magistrate, Andrew Prince Kujo, after taking her through court formalities, inquired from Hajia Filipina if she was willing to stop working as a spiritualist. Hajia Filipina, who appeared not to show any remorse, retorted in Chi that it was a calling from God and she was not ready to abandon the cause. She even informed the magistrate that if he became sick and was brought to her for healing, she would heal him.
Meanwhile, the IGP has condemned the lynching of Madame Equia Dente. This is on citynewsroom.com. The Inspector General of Police, James Opombuenu, has condemned the lynching of the 19-year-old Equia Dente at Kafaba. During a visit to the region, Mr. Opombuenu expressed worry about the incident and urged Ghanaians to put a stop to the practice. And then he went on to talk about how we can accuse women of witchcraft when a lot of the crimes we see in society are committed by men. Then let's move to other stories. I have a mind of my own. A black while Richard's Ahoy's claim. There's a lot of Ahoy stories.
So
everywhere in the
not
paper.
Babies with sharp teeth. Let me put the three responses
Together.
Yes.
You consolidated them.
Now the story says his controversial book working with Rawlings has triggered waves of protests from the Umbrella family, with Dan Agbodakwi, former Minister of Trade and Industry, and the founder of the National Democratic Congress, Jerry John Rawlings, leading the process. And
leading the protest.
The protest, sorry. Now, new names: Edward Omanimboama, Samuel Okudzeto Ablako, and Felix Kwachofosu, who, according to page 211 of the book, were recruited and groomed to attack the former president, have all come out to deny the claim. Now, the three of them separately on their Facebook pages placed on record that the claim could not be true, was offensive, and at best an exaggeration by the media.
All right. Meanwhile, there's a NDC, two things. My journal online, recent activities may cause NDC to collapse. Rawlings predicts. Stories as founder of the NDC, former President John Rawlings, has dropped a bizarre prediction about his party. According to Mr. Rawlings, recent activities may cause the party to collapse and drown if care is not taken. And he wrote this on Facebook. He said this when he wrote on Facebook to react to the book written by Ahoy. Then there's another reaction to Ahoy here. We won't allow you to derail our focus. This is NDC to Ahoy. The youth wing of NDC has strongly hit out at former local government minister Professor Kwame Ahoy for attempting to derail the party's efforts at winning the upcoming election with the release of his book Working with Rawlings. Then they say that the book contains controversial issues that subtly undermine the great and selfless service the founder has rendered to both the party and country.
Well, let me take you to the front page of the BNFT, where over 600 seafarers are stranded abroad. According to the story on page 3, over 600 Ghanaian seafarers are stranded abroad due to the coronavirus pandemic, which has led to partial border closures globally. Data from maritime services provider showed Services Ghana has said. According to the data, these Ghanaians who embarked on seafaring activities to make ends meet and enhance their economic status are spread across the globe, making it difficult to repatriate them, even though government through the Ghana Maritime Authority and SMSG has put in measures to ensure their return.
Now, on banking, ADB posts impressive half-year performance. Last week, we also saw that of GCB. Now, ADB, the bank's total asset grew by more than 800 million Ghana cedis, representing 17.7% from 4.04 billion to 4.88. And the story goes on that this was on the back of a 26.6 growth in the loan book of the bank. Now, on the same page in the Business Finder, Republic Bank advocates for green bonds. The story says Republic Bank Ghana Limited has advocated for an issuance of a green bond in Ghana to raise long-term financing for green building construction by developers.
Let me end with weed. CNN story by Sandy Lamotte. Weed is not good for your heart. Studies say you may love smoking weed, but it does not love your heart. According to the American Heart Association's new scientific statement on marijuana, the American Heart Association recommends that people not smoke or vape any substance, including cannabis products, because of the potential harm to the heart, lungs, and blood vessels, said Dr. Rose Marie Robertson, the Deputy Chief Science and Medical Officer for the American Heart Association, in a statement. In a statement, they said, published on Wednesday's journal, they examined existing research on the connection between cannabis and the heart. And the statement found that using weed has the potential to interfere with prescribed medications, as well as trigger cardiovascular conditions or events such as heart attacks and strokes, said clinical pharmacologist Robert Page II, who chaired the medical writing group for the statement. Here's the final part. Anyone planning to use marijuana should discuss possible risks with their health professional first, said Page, who is a professor in the Department of Clinical Pharmacy and Physical Medicine Rehabilitation, University of Colorado School of Pharmacy. So you want to say, doctor, please, I want to use the substance.
I want to do something small.
But what will it do to my heart? They are saying it will damage your heart, so don't do it.
Doctor,
thank you very much for that. That was a newspaper review. Coming up next is the Citi Business News.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Hey, Charlie, check this. You don't feel loud. The sound of this engine, music to my ears.
I tell you. But you check your engine oil.
I always they tell you I dey check. I've told you I only use Total Quartz engine oils. With its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Sit down, let me tell you more. Total Quartz has introduced a new one, Seth.
I remember Quartz